All right, guys, we're down here at the creek, early morning, trying to, get my fresh air. This is This is the morning after the council meeting. I'll do a breakdown video of what was said and what I think is, I'll call it bull crap to a lot of stuff that they said. Some of the stuff they said does stand. Is there legacy contamination at the old Lee gas station? Sure. This is all biological. I'm not showing everybody, this is biological. I'm not saying this is Shane. Somebody take my video out of context. But, is there legacy contamination down there? Yeah. When they removed them tanks years ago, which they removed them years ago, I was told. I thought the Brownsfield grant was to remove the in-ground tanks. The Brownsfield grant really basically only covered the big white tanks by the railroad tracks is what they're removing. So these tanks were removed years ago, and also they didn't do no cleanup of the area because both sides of that parcel lot it's got to be saturated. If they remove the tanks and they're still they have their borehole, their big white plastic, I don't know, what about foot diameter, maybe a foot cross pipe down the ground. I got video of it. With their pump down in there, with the extension cord sticking out, with the hose sticking out, pumping it in these plastic containers. Okay, if they're pumping that much liquid out of the ground, and it's still containing that diesel, that cleanup was never even done right to begin with. Like I said, both sides of that property that ground is so saturated that it's, after they took the tanks out, it's able to move its way back into what they took out. It just amazes me. I can't find who removed it. Let me get into this tree, guys. Ugh. Beautiful out, man. Too bad everything's always ruined. Nature's ruined. But if they didn't, when they took them tanks out, didn't bother doing any work, cleanup wise, and just filled the hole back in again, what do you think is going to happen to what's on the ground? I mean, that's almost a perfect point, a proven point that this stuff moves through the ground. It just shows that, if they're getting backflow back in the same area that they put clean dirt in, it just goes to show that, it's flowing back in to the area they already cleaned. Well, they dug out. I can't say clean. But anyways, this is more of, they're doing their stream assessment. They were, 25% up, Leslie, he said. Now, my problem with this is, okay, this is Leslie, so this always has a little bit, well, actually quite a bit more water in than sulfur does. But if most of the stream looks like that, where you got dry sections on each side of the stream, you just got water flowing down the middle, how can you actually do a stream assessment with, low water levels? They didn't do nothing all of last year because their excuse was the stream was too low, they couldn't do anything. But yet, you're doing another stream assessment with still low water levels. And I don't know if it's just not to see anything. I hate to say that, but obviously ignorance is good with the government. And, they picked the perfect time to do their assessments. But I just don't see you getting an accurate stream assessment when water is low like this. I mean, a lot of places it's not even touching the banks. But I'll keep my eye out. I'll see if I can catch them when they're doing, their stream assessment. I've heard what they do to their, to do their stream assessment. I find it kind of comical because I guess they believe that nothing sinks into the ground, that if it's not found on the surface, then it doesn't exist. This stuff has been flowing, been sitting here for over 2 years. Most of it has made its way deeper into sediment. This stream, the bed of stream changes from month to month to month. Every time it rains hard, the stream changes. To just think it's always sitting on top is just a stupid way to think. But that's my outlook on it, I guess. But we'll keep an outlook. We'll keep watch and see if I can catch them doing their stream assessment. But I don't know how you can get an accurate reading. I'd like to see them do some tests in the bank of some of the footage I've been finding, pretty much up and down the whole stream. Is it legacy? What is it? Unfortunately, I don't have the ability to, test and tell you what it is. People say, what is it? What is it? What is it? Well, I don't have that ability. I don't have that money. I don't have unlimited funds like the government. So, I can't tell you what it is, but it's very, very similar to, it's things like these, basically streams running out of the bank. There's one there. Just to say this stuff didn't go nowhere, is just sitting in the bank waiting, or sitting in the streams waiting to be found. It's just plain old ignorance. But I don't know. At this point, I'm almost to the point now where I don't care. No matter what I do, no matter what we say, nothing's going to happen. It's what happens when you fight billion-dollar corporations and you fight the government. You don't win. They have unlimited resources. They have unlimited funds. They pay who they need to pay. If I would go threaten somebody at the NTSB, I guarantee I would not be walking out of that building not in handcuffs. But yet, a company is able to threaten a chairman of the NTSB, and nothing happens. And gets away with it. It's just, it's disgusting. But unfortunately, this is the world we live in nowadays. But I'll keep my eye out. I'll see if I can catch them. If not, it was demonstrated at one of the stream ambassador meetings of how they do their assessment. Maybe I will get some people together and we'll kind of lay out how they do it. From what I was told, what I was told, what I can imagine in my mind, it's quite comical. But maybe if we keep our eye down here, maybe we might be catching them in, live in action. Let's see them actually doing it. That'd be better than just me, trying to act it out. But I don't know, guys. 2.5 years of fighting health problems. Was it worth it? Would I do it again? Yeah, I would do it again. I knew very well what I was getting into when I stepped foot in them creeks, when I was down there the night of the derailment, when I went down there the following day of the derailment, when I physically walked through the derailment site. The burning throat, the burning nose, the freaking eyes watering. I knew what I was getting into, and the way I look at it, even if it saves one life, I would do it again. Some people might not have that sentiment, but I'm more like, I'm going to go out of this world leaving, at least a decent reputation or a decent name for myself. I can look back on this and say, I've honestly gave as much as I could give to help, to get this recognized for what it was. Unfortunately, I had a small army, but man, you need a big army to freaking fight these people. Way bigger than we could ever get together. It's just, it's disgusting, but it is what it is. Information's out there, the lies are out there. It'll happen again. It happened so many times in how many more communities, years, in the past, 50 years. You know, it's communities reaching out. Communities are still being impacted by this stuff, and they just turn a blind eye at all this. I don't know, guys. It's disgusting. It is frustrating, but you know, it is what it is. And you know, if I had the choice over to do again, you know, I might have taken maybe a little bit more safety precautions, maybe, but I would do it again. Just to show the blatant ignorance of, you know, the kind of country we live in now, where big corporations can basically buy their way out of, you know, they pollute something, they just pay their little pesky fine, and then they're back up and running again, you know, doing the same exact thing over again, because all they know, they're just going to get a pocket change fine. So, all right, guys, we'll keep our eye out for these people. Might do a couple more videos. I want to go up and check and see where they cemented. I'm kind of interested in, I don't know what they're doing there. I'm kind of interested what I'll find down there. Oh, dump truck. But you know, we'll check that stuff out and stuff. But anyways, just a little rant video. I guess the morning after. And I'm sorry, guys. I was watching the truck, see what the heck they were doing. But you know, it is what it is. All right, guys. I'll catch you later.